And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with Rich Turrin here. His authoring book is called Cashless. Rich, how important will our debit cards be if this happens?
Oh, that's a great question, George. Debit cards are fine. I'm not knocking them, but they have certain fees attached to them. And debit cards, again, require you to basically, in physical retail, you got to go swipe the card and, use the point of sale device, which, frankly, we could do away with these days. We could make a digital payment from me to the store without having to use that piece of plastic anymore. So, I think they're not going away overnight. Okay, and nobody's saying that they are. But how about I'm going to turn the question around on you a little bit. We've been carrying this little piece of plastic in our cards since the mid '60s or early '60s.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do better? Can we do better or are we going to have pieces of plastic in our pockets that in the form of a debit or credit card from now till eternity? And I think that our cell phones and other digital devices can do a better job.
Well, now, what do we do? Here we go biblically again. If they come up to us, Rich, and say, we're going to do away with credit cards, we're going to do away with plastic, what we're going to do is give you a special ID, but we're going to implant it in your hand. So all you have to do is walk by a scanner, and it reads who you are. What do we do when that happens?
Oh, I got you one better, all right, George?
All right.
You don't even need to implant something in your hand. You can use facial ID. So you walk up. Look, these actually exist already, and not commonly, okay? It's not a common thing, but there are some stores in China where I can go up, barcode scan 3 or 4 items, and then when I want to make the payment, I can pay with my cell phone, fine. And then at one point it says, okay, if you want, you can pay with my cell phone, and you can say, push the button, and it'll actually scan my face, and it'll say, well, you are the person who owns that cell phone or that account, and yes, you can buy that stuff. No chip required. So, yeah, you can use facial ID for that stuff, and someday that will be a thing. You can do it in Amazon stores in the U.S. now where they don't have facial scanning. They actually have palm scanning, where you walk up and you sort of place your palm near a reader, and it reads your palm just like a thumbprint, or you have a palm print that's unique.
Right.
And it allows you to pay.
Amazing. Let's go to the phones. This hour's going to fly by. Let's go to Medina, Ohio. Joe's with us on Coast to Coast. Hey, Joe, go ahead.
Hey, thank you, George. Thank you so much for taking my call, as always. Thank you so
Joe.
much. Your guest. I just wanted to make a couple points. Sometime in the near future, you should take a survey to see how many people are strongly, opposed to this digital currency. I mean, I'm opposed to what we have now, the central banking system, and we work on a fractional banking system. And once we lost the gold standard, that was it. And that's why we're living in some precarious times. And as our country and everything crashes going into next year, digital's even way worse. So I'm strongly opposed, and some things are standing up fighting for. So this is something that I'd be even willing to go to war over. This is insane. We're going from absolute disaster to more disaster. So all it is about control. Thank you.
All right, good point. Well, you can get you to react to that, Rich, if you want, please.
Sure. Look, hi, Joe. It's good to meet you. Look, I'm hearing you, and you are part of a group of many people who really, really dislike digital currencies, and that's okay. I get it. Don't use them. As far as, if you don't want to use a digital currency, if you don't want to use a credit card, go ahead. Write checks and pay with cash. As far as the central bank and fractional banking, if you're going to go to war over a central bank, you're going to lose that one. They've been around for a while. I'm the first one to agree with you that, we've got too much debt. Gold's going off the gold standard in 1972 was for a lot of reasons a rough moment in American financial history. Not disagreeing with you there. But at the same time, we have to make payments more efficient. And going digital is the best way to do it because the rest of our lives are going digital. I mean, we've got digital health records, we've got digital services all over, and you can't write a check to interface with a digital service. So I hear you, I feel you, and I want to meet you halfway on this stuff, but nobody's going to war over anything.
Rich, by toppling the U.S. dollar, by going digital, was that their effort? Was that their intent?
No. Okay, so the digital currencies from other countries like China, like India, like Europe, their intent is not about toppling the dollar. Their intent is simply to give their people a cheaper and easier way to make payments. So, look, again, I'll roll out the statistic again. The U.S. pays 1% of its entire GDP for making credit card payments. That's nuts. So, Europe and other nations looked at these high costs of payments, and they said, "Look, we need a better solution to this. We need something that's cheaper." That someday they may have an impact on dollar use is real and considered an advantage, but to say that they did it to topple the dollar, I can't go with you there, George. It's not part of the DNA of this product. What it's really about is a square deal for most consumers wherever they live in making payment.
Let's go to Brian in San Diego. Hey, Brian, go ahead.
Hey, George. I have two things I need to say, and then two quick examples.
Okay.
Okay. So, Rich, look, CBDCs. I'm the second caller here. Are centralized control. I love liberty, and I really dislike dictators. So I would never promote anything Marxist or communist. CBDCs are programmable, and that is a recipe for dictatorship control. And if you dislike the performance of the Fed, you'll be horrified by CBDCs down the road. I'd like to suggest a decentralized crypto that does not use a blockchain called CloudCoin. It's getting its wallets finished soon, so it'll be coming out very soon. It's been in the works. But by the way, you mentioned about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is backed by its math of only 21 million coins. And it doesn't need to be backed by gold because of the mathematics. So where you look at fiat and everything else, constantly quantitative easing, and look at the last 100 years of what our Fed has done to our dollar, the value of it. It's ridiculous. So that's a problem. You also said you like more privacy. Well, if you like more privacy, CBDCs are the worst thing in the world. What the best thing in the world would be is CloudCoin. It's the most private crypto in the world. There's only 1.4 billion of them that could ever be spent. And there's no fees like CBDCs. And it's quantum computer safe from being hacked. All blockchain cryptocurrencies are not safe from quantum computers. This is the only one that is. So anyway, my question to you is, why would anybody, why would you promote something that could enhance the disaster that the Fed is already? Go ahead.
Hey, Brian. Hey, nice to meet you. And, okay, let me break this down. I got like 5 bullet points that I got here. So why promote central bank digital currency? Because basically you are stuck, whether you like the Fed or not, you are stuck with the U.S. dollar as the currency of the land. So one is a complaint against monetary policy and debt. I'm with you on that. You want to tell me that the U.S. government has too high a debt? I agree. I wouldn't argue that point with you in any way, shape, or form. But the reality is dollars are what we use. That's the currency of the land. So central bank digital currency represents through much of the same crypto technology that you talk about, a privacy improvement over the Visa, MasterCard, and other digital forms of payment that you have now. Flat out. So if you examine how these central bank digital currencies are being designed, they're being designed and built with a lot of the same technology that goes behind crypto. And if you analyze them objectively, they do better. Ready? They're not perfect, but they do better than what we've got. And that's the thing. Now, so look, as far as programmability, and that's an interesting point that you make. People say, well, we don't like programmability. You got it already. Let's look at an example. We have what used to be called a food stamps program that basically distributes money through debit cards to the needy. And these debit cards, you don't want to think about it this way, but they're programmable. They expire after 90 or 180 days, basically saying if you don't use this money to purchase food and other items within 180 days, it goes away. And you can't use those debit cards to buy guns. So in a way, we're of two minds when it comes to programmable currencies. We don't like them. We say the government's going to come for your money using programmability. But on the other hand, we look at programmability and we say, yeah, it should be that way because people should have limits to their ability to use free money. So, but there's another answer there. Programmability, do what Europe does. So Europe is making their digital euro non-programmable. That's fine. And they heard people's issues with programmability. As far as CloudCoin, I am the last guy, and nobody should be on here promoting their crypto coin of favor. If you like Bitcoin or you don't like Bitcoin or you do like CloudCoin, that's up to you to take up with various Twitter or other user groups on Reddit and other places. But what you're telling me is it sounds like you're making a lot of advertising for CloudCoin, and I'm sorry if that's hard talk, but I think I got to come out with it and say it. I'm not advertising or plugging anything other than what are national currencies, and CloudCoin isn't even existent yet. So, and as far as it being rare, yes, my grandmother's Hummel collection was rare, but it wasn't worth much in the end.
The fact that
On to you, George.
The fact that I don't like crypto at all, Rich, what does that tell you? Is that good or bad on my part?
Absolutely fine. Look, George, there's a lot of people out there who love crypto and some hate it, and I like both sides. I can see both sides of the equation in some ways, but I got some. Ready? I'm a holder of some precious metals on my own, and I am disgusted by the orgy of theft that was the cryptocurrency world, and we're seeing right now the trial of the FTX founder underway, and the revelations of corruption in and around the crypto industry are unforgivable and inexcusable. Is that strong enough?
Good point. Catherine's with us in British Columbia, Canada. Hi, Catherine. Go ahead.
Hi, George. Hi, Rich. I have a question for you, George, also with Rich. I've been noticing where I live, the bank machines have been going down regularly. Just 2 weeks ago, it happened again. And I was so grateful I had some money where I could go get gas to get home. Even the restaurants, their internet wasn't working, to pay with your card. Safeway, they weren't working. You couldn't buy groceries unless you had cash. So my question is, have you both noticed where you live if the machines have been going down quite often?
Mine have not been going down. As a matter of fact, our supermarkets in the St. Louis area prefer you use a credit card. Go ahead, Rich.
Well, hi, Catherine. Nice to meet you. Look, I live in China, so I'm not sure that my experience is relevant to you, but I haven't been to an ATM machine to actually take out cash in maybe 5 years. Yeah, there's some at the local bank. I see them, and some people still use them, but I've been living cashless for a long time. But I agree with you. In times of natural disaster, it's always good to have some cash around. I'm not arguing that in the least. And the new versions of digital currency can be used without electricity and without signal. And that's a major benefit of the next generation of digital. So there's good news. Digital's getting better. And even if the ATM machine is out, you'll be able to use digital in some form in the future.
Rich, in China, how do you pay your bills or buy your goods?
Great question. It's a breeze. Look, I'm sure people in America have automatic bill payment of various forms, but we basically have an app. We open the app. We put our electric bill, gas bill, water bill. I'm thinking of any others that I may have on the app, and they are paid automatically every month. So that's good, and it's easy. For going grocery shopping, what's really kind of even funnier is I live in a big city, but I don't go grocery shopping anymore. It's all done by an app. There's a large international supermarket in Shanghai. Because look, I still eat a lot of American food or Western food. And I order this stuff. I push a button. It's all paid for digitally in 2 seconds, and it arrives at my home within. I can pick it when they're going to deliver it, but shortest time within 3 hours.
That's amazing. When people go out to restaurants, do they say, "Let's go out for some American"?
Oh, sure, they do. In fact, what's even funny? Look, George, I got a riot. There's a restaurant near my house. And the name of the restaurant is called Fortune Cookie, which for Chinese food is well known. Fortune
That's right.
Cookies.
Of course.
But the funny thing about the restaurant is that it's American Chinese food, and it's for predominantly native Chinese customers who want to experience what American Chinese food has become, because it's many years, and it's gotten different from the Chinese food where it came from. Does that make sense?
That's interesting. We're going to come back and take final calls in a moment with Rich Turrin. His book is called Cashless, and it's available to you. And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with Rich Turrin. He is live in Shanghai as we talk. His book is called Cashless, China's Digital Currency Revolution, and it's happening, isn't it, Rich?
Yeah, George, look, whether we like it or not, we're going cashless in the sense that we're all using Apple Pay, Google Pay, or credit cards.
Or PayPal.
Or PayPal, great example. Younger people are using Venmo, right? They're all transacting digitally, and our lives are more digital. So the concept that money should go more digital and be cheaper to send is something that should be welcomed by most people.
There seems to be a resistance to it, though. What are they afraid of then?
Look, so, and this is something I guess relevant to a couple of the last callers, that people do not like the Federal Reserve or the central banking system or how much the government spends. Those are absolutely legit concerns. I want to make that clear. But at the same time, the concept that we're going to have a war against the Fed or otherwise reject all that we have, that's sort of a higher level issue. What I'm trying to get at is you use bucks. You use them to pay for stuff. Your local gas station, your local butcher, butcher, baker, and candlestick maker is sick and tired of paying Visa and MasterCard 3% plus for the privilege of taking a credit card. We got to have a better way of doing it. And as more of our goods and services go digital, we need a better way to do it. And how we do it is certainly up for debate. We should have a national discussion on that. But that national discussion should be based on what's real and what technology can actually do for us, and not on imaginary stuff. And I'm not anti-crypto, but it shouldn't be based on the fact that we should take the multi-trillion-dollar American economy and somehow revalue it to some other cryptocurrency. That's just not a reasonable expectation.
Most banks are going through a system called Zelle if you want to send money. What is that?
Sure. Zelle is I had some funny bad experiences using Zelle. But look, Zelle is a way to basically digitally send money using your existing bank systems, and it is available on most of the major banks. A lot of the community banks may not have it, but basically I can send you a limited amount of money. I think it's up to around $1,000 for any one individual transfer. And it's a, you know what it is? Hey, George, it's a great way of thinking about it. Did you ever have a BlackBerry earlier in your career? Maybe now you've migrated to something newer and better?
Yep, I sure have.
Right? Well, look, we've got digital payment, and it's no different than our cell phones. We started with digital payment being credit cards, right? And now we've got Apple Pay and Google Pay, and they're better. And Zelle is a way of paying stuff. But all of these are like those old cell phones that you stick in your closet somewhere and dust off and say, I remember in the 90s when I used this, There are generations of electronic payment, and electronic payment is just getting better and better all the time.
Let's go to Jeff in North Dakota to get us going here. Hi, Jeffrey. Go ahead.
Hi, George. Thanks for having me on. Hey,
thank you.
I just want to remind everyone about what God says in Psalm 118. It says, "It's better to put your trust in the Lord than in man." And it also says, "What good does it do for man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?" And George, you were talking about the chips. There's a company called VersaChip right now waiting to put chips in human beings, and their emblem is the eye of a snake. Now, in Revelation, God warns us that this times would come that you would not be able to buy or sell unless you take the mark of the beast. Those who have given their life to Christ, they won't take that mark because they're sealed with the Holy Spirit. But those who be deceived, that's the number one thing he said also, don't be deceived, because there's going to become a world leader coming soon, the Antichrist. The first 3.5 years, everything's going to be hunky-dory. And the last 3.5 years, you will be killed for your faith if you don't take their mark on your right hand or forehead. The Bible's very clear about that. So there's the just, the unjust. The Lord says he lets the rain fall on the just and the unjust, the sinner, the saint.
A lot of people are concerned about that, Rich.
Yeah. Look, hi there, Jeff. Look, I hear you, and I want to make a world where you can have your belief system along with the ability to get, if you ever get sick, Jeff, the latest and greatest cancer detection system, which will be built on digital and use things like artificial intelligence. So I want to close the gap and make people understand that the digital world that we are living in has good things associated with it. and that those good things do not conflict with biblical verse as best as I can. That's a tall order because the Bible says a lot, and beliefs about what the Bible say are very different. But I try to do my best.
Let's go to Don now on the international line in Alberta, Canada. Hey, Donald, go ahead.
Hi, George. Hi, Rich. Actually, the best cancer detection system is a dog that's properly trained. They can detect cancer way before anybody else.
Some are pretty good. You're right.
Anyway, my philosophy on that investing or money is if I can't see it, touch it, taste it, smell it, it doesn't exist. I know people have lost millions on digital currency, actually Bitcoin. It doesn't matter if the computer hard drive fails or the phone gets lost or somebody steals it while you're sleeping at night. They just go in digitally and extract it. I probably will actually end up owning the B5 currency only because it's an international currency. But the problem I have with China is if you don't have enough social rewards points, they just close down your bank account. You can't travel, take a bus, kids can't go to school, whatever the case may be. But the other part of the equation is and you've had these guests on your show, George, is that China is actually openly talking about taking out the United States, and it's a step-by-step process, and they listed it. And actually, the event that occurred in Israel, and it's unfortunate because I know people on both sides of the border, and the civilians always get caught in the way, but this is just another step. This digital currency is just another step to take out America. So that's my belief on what's happening right now. And do I trust digital currency? No, because if I show up and it's minus 35 or minus 40 at gas station and their system's down and I can't put gas in my highway tractor trailer unit, guess what? I freeze up. The truck's going to freeze up on me. So if I have cash in my pocket, I'm going again. And silver, I think, will be the backup currency, and gold. It's just, I don't trust digital currency. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, a lot of people don't. Rich, is it appropriate to ask you if you feel as if China wants to go to war with the United States?
Boy, I got to tell you, that's news to me. I read everything that I can about China every day. I can't tell you that I read the local newspapers in Mandarin, but I do read the translations that I get on the internet. And, the concept that China wants to go to war with America, I'm sorry, I feel that that's misguided. And I don't know where, Don, it's nice to meet you. And I don't know where you read that. And I'm sure you can come up with a source for me if we were there in person. But from where I sit and from everything that I read, there is no desire for China to go to war with one of its largest trading partners and with the country whose U.S. dollar it holds some $600 billion of in reserves. So basically, China doesn't want to destroy America or destroy the dollar because basically it has a lot of dollars and it would impoverish itself in that process. So, no, I don't buy that. But look, as far as digital currencies go, Don, you quoted cryptocurrency, and here I'm talking about digital currencies that are Canadian dollar or U.S. dollar, not crypto. And as far as your big rig and, getting digital currency frozen with minus 40, I'm all for having cash. Nobody's trying to take your cash away. But when the weather is good, and also in the future when we have these new systems which will allow transfer of currency without signal or without electricity, you'll be able to pay digitally. So, but keep cash. Nobody's trying to take it from you.
Well, that's an important factor too, Rich. You don't think it's going to be one or the other? Do you think, is it possible they'll say, we're going to have cash, you can use cash, but we're going this way too?
Absolutely. Look, George, we're all humans and we like to think in terms of black and white, but the reality is there's a lot of gray in the world. And the concept that we're going to give you a digital currency and we're going to take away all your money, that's nuts. Not going to happen. Do you know how much? Think about it another way. Do you know how much cash is squirreled away in America right now? If the government wanted to come for it, how could they? It wouldn't be practical. There's zillions of dollars all sitting there in cupboards and in closets all over, and hidden in little cubby holes all over America and in the West.
Or so it'll wipe out the drug dealers, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't know what to say there. Yeah, sadly, there are those who make the argument, and I'm not gonna go there personally, but I'm gonna just make it because I want people to hear it. Is that the loss of cash would be a great reduction of crime? Now, this part I can tell you. I'm willing to go here. Ready? In China, where cash use is reduced in the major cities, the local convenience stores, nobody tries to rob them because they don't have any money. And nobody tries to rob somebody's wallet or purse for the cash because nobody's got any cash in it. Now, they do try to rob purses and stuff for cell phones. I'm not arguing that.
Yeah.
But the reality is people or societies that use less cash have less crime because people aren't walking around with wads of cash in their pocket that you can steal.
And there's no access to it.
There's that. Okay. So people choose not to use it. People have access to it. I got an ATM machine across the street from my house. I got like 4 of them, but I don't use them. And so people have, so in China, let's talk specifically about my life, which is, hardcore, concrete. I have as much access to cash here as I have in the U.S., as I have anywhere. I can go to the bank and get wads of money.
U.S. dollars or Chinese?
Oh, Chinese. Yes, I can also get U.S. dollars, but I got to make conversion, and then who's going to take it, right? I mean, but when I travel occasionally, I got to get some extra U.S. dollars. And sure, I'll go to the bank, withdraw RMB, and then I'll have to convert that RMB. It'll cost me some money, and I'll get a handful of dollars out of it.
Rich, speculate on what the next few years will be like in terms of this push to go to this kind of digital currency.
Look, it's going to be a long, hard transition. And look, I'm going to have fun with this, if you don't mind me, George, because I want to put it in terms that everybody can relate to.
Yeah, we have a minute and a half left. Go ahead.
Minute and a half. We all had BlackBerries. We now have iPhones or whatever phone we got, and we're on iPhone, 15 these days? And it was incremental steps from a BlackBerry to the iPhone and from the old days when we didn't have any smartphones at all. So we're going to have an incremental change in getting better cashless systems, but you're always going to have access to cash if you want to.
Well, absolutely. Rich, and again, the book, Cashless, is available where?
It's available on Amazon, and it's available in a lot of other bookstores like Kobo and other places. You can also get it at your local bookstore. If you ask for it, they'll order it and get it for you.
Do you take emails through your website?
Of course I do. And look, I know there are people who disagree with me. Go to my website, richturrin.com. Shoot me a letter. Shoot me a note. If you disagree or if you agree, I'm happy to hear from you. If you're promoting the latest cryptocurrency, I can't help you.
All right, my friend. Stay safe in China, okay?
Thank you so much, George. You be well, and it's my pleasure.
Again, the name of the book is called Cashless. Up next, Appalachian Witches on Coast to Coast.